Hello, fellow aviators. Welcome to JPL Aviation, where leadership and aviation take off. Today we're going to be talking about the straight facts. What you see, the straight facts are how do you make money for your flight training. Flight training isn't as simple as it seems because you need a lot of money. First off, your flight training itself is going to cost around $35,000 to $40,000. Now take that in, just take a second and think about it. How much time does it take to make $35,000 to $40,000? You have 24 hours in a day. You weren't born with a lot of skills, right? You really got to think about what are some ways that I can make money for myself. And when you think about it, at your commercial rating, you need 250 hours of flying. So if you do the math, 250 hours of flying is like a lot of money. Way more than $35,000 to $40,000. And so you go, okay. And then think about it, as you go through flight training as well, you're going to have errors. You're not going to be able to learn material fast enough. You're not going to spend enough time in the right areas as well, so you may get unproficient. You may have to rework on your currency. All this just adds up. So in reality, I would say you're probably going to spend around $50,000 to $60,000 on your flight training. Now let that sink in for a second. $50,000 to $60,000. Normal job versus side hustle. Or you combine both in order to reach your goals. So I look at it this way too. I'm a college student. I have to go to school. I mean, now since it's COVID, we're going to be online, which is a little bit nice because we get a little bit of flexibility. But the main point is that a normal job and side hustle combined will be able to get you to this $35,000 to $40,000 in our insanely competitive industry a lot faster than most people would just working a normal job, right? Say, for example, your normal job, you make $25,000, $26,000 a year, making $13, $14 an hour, which most people end up, here in California, I think that's minimum wage and just a little bit above minimum wage. So they'll make that in their first year of working, but that's not going to be enough to get through all your ratings. And then now imagine I'm making this video too for those moms out there, for the people who are 30 years old, or for the dads, or people who have their lives set up already. Imagine having kids. Imagine having an $800 rent payment each month. Imagine having a car. The payment for that, the insurance, all these little things add up, and in reality, are you actually saving that much money? The people that I've talked to and tried to mentor into getting into aviation, like I say, hey, how much money do you have saved up for this? And they go, I got $2,000, $3,000, and I'm like, oh, like we have a long way to go on that. So straight facts, aviation side hustle, this is how I do what I do, and I hope you guys are going to be able to understand and figure out a way that you guys are going to be able to create a system for yourself as well that teaches you how to make money to go and finance your flight training. And this isn't going to be a direct, hey, how you execute these. This is kind of be big picture about how you're going to understand to make your money for flight training. So, straight facts, presentation one. This will be kind of posted up here, I'm assuming in this area for you guys in the next the video portion of it. I'll do all the editing and all that fun jazz afterwards. So basically, let's go to our first slide that I grabbed my dad's old calendar because I could, and he's not going to use it. Hopefully he's not going to be too mad at me. It had a big background. I don't have a whiteboard, so if anybody wants to give me a whiteboard, there you go. Also, if you guys get any value out of this content, if you get a hint of an idea of something that you want to do, please hit that notification. Please hit the subscribe button. And make sure to go like all the posts on our channel, shoot a follow on Instagram. We're on Spotify as well, JPL Aviation, and also jplaviation.com. So please, you guys, your support helps us, helps me a lot in regards to everything I'm doing, and to share the message for everybody else as well. So, stage one, right? Here we go. Self-analyzation. Anything you do in life, you first have to figure out what are my tendencies that will either inhibit me to get to my goal or accelerate me to get to my goal. Self-analyzation is the most important thing that you're going to do in any category of action that you want to take into your life. Whether you're playing on a basketball court, right? Your social relations on the team, you're going to self-analyze and say, hey, I have this tendency while on the court. How is that going to benefit the team, or how is it going to take away from the team? And that's why it's so very important. So first off, your weaknesses, right? I'm kind of a very black and white person, especially when I interact with people, because I say, hey, I see people for the weaknesses, but I also see their strengths through their weaknesses, if that makes sense. And so when I'm first trying to mentor somebody to get into aviation, or I hear their story, I'm going to figure out what are their personal weaknesses that would inhibit them from getting to where they want to go in aviation. And I would specifically address those things. I'm not going to say, hey, you're doing a great job. There's a little bad habit that you have. Is it going to be, completely A-okay when you're going to go and try and pursue this aviation journey? It's like, no, I'm not about that. If you have something wrong, I'm going to call you out for it. I'm going to say, hey, you could probably do better on this. And not only should you do that with people that you care about, but people who are your friends as well. If you see something going wrong and you don't say anything, that's on you. So self-analyzation for your weaknesses, right? What are some things about you that would inhibit you already from getting towards the aviation goal, right? Are you lazy? Do you not study enough? Will you not physically work hard enough to get the money in order to fly? Think about the inherent tendencies within yourself, and it's just in life in general, these things are so important to know. 2, skills for society. What are you into? Do you have any passions, any things that you are going to be able to share with other people that they'll actually pay you for it? And if you don't have that yet, that's okay. We're going to brainstorm later. But the whole point is that skills for society, okay? Whether that's drawing or you're a handyman, you can fix things. Whether you're really good with people, you can create and organize events. Like any skill that you have that you think you can make money off of, very important. Go for it. Next is our tendencies, good or bad, okay? These are the habits, the little things, right? We have our weaknesses, and those are kind of like the inherent archetypes, narratives of your life that you're going to be addressing. Whether one of your parents is an alcoholic and you tend to like alcohol, it's like, okay, how is that going to affect my aviation journey down the road? That's what I mean by weaknesses, sorry. Tendencies is our next one. So tendencies is kind of more small-based, right? When you go to study, you say, I'm going to study for 2 hours a day. How much of that time do you actually spend studying? How much of that time do you spend on your phone? How much of that time are you focused on other things that you're not supposed to be focused on is my main point. Those tendencies, whether they're good or bad, are something that you really need to self-analyze and reflect on and say, hey, I have these tendencies that are going to inhibit me or progress me to my aviation goals, and really focus on mitigating those things, right? Because tendencies are bad habits that you can develop and change. So that's basically it for self-analyzation. Just do a recheck of yourself, think about the big picture, and how can I best suit myself moving on to my goal, right? Up next, we have market analyzation. This is a fun one, all right? So, starting off with market analyzation, right? Where do you live? Are you in the desert? Do you have 5 neighbors? Are you in Southern California with 1 million neighbors and a ton of apartment little complexes everywhere? Do you live in a senior citizen's home with your grandma, right? Hopefully not during COVID, and you better get yourself checked, right? But the whole point is that where do you live? Figure out what would best suit your needs and how you can make money within that area. Be an entrepreneur. Like, if you have something inside of you that's saying, hey, there's something I can make money off of like a scenario, go for it. That's what aviation is all about. It's about pushing yourself to your limits and figuring out what you're capable of, right? So what's a need in the area? That's the next big thing is like, okay, I'm in the desert. What do people need besides water, obviously? Maybe they need help with the dust in their houses. You can start dusting houses, cleaning. When was the last time somebody went over and trimmed a whole bunch of weeds and stuff that, people have like 50 acres or so, and they get horrible, the land starts to look horrible because they don't want to spend time to maintain it. Maybe even you can go in there for cheap. Some money is better than nothing, and we'll get into that later, but you can go in there for cheap and say, hey, I'll just cut your bushes for you. It's a simple task. Can you hold a cutter? Can you drive a lawnmower? Like, that's a simple thing you can do to make money along your way. For example, in the city, people need transportation from point A to point B. Like, if I didn't have anything, right? Say I have a bike. And like those people in like where are they from? Like the big cities, like the guys in the boats, and like they give people tours. Like, I would literally make a craft on the back of my bike where I could pull people around. I'd go down to like Newport Beach and just like give Newport Beach tours. I guarantee there's a huge community of visitors, especially here in Southern California, that have no idea about what Southern California is like, or just kind of the general atmosphere. And so you could give a tour just being a native right there, right? That's an idea I actually just came up with right now that I could talk about later as well. So figure out what your needs are in the area and try to meet those needs. Be the entrepreneur that you can in order to make this money. 2 is your personal resources, right? What things around you do you have that can help you get to where you are? For example, my dad has a truck. Well, my personal resource is I personally keep myself in very good shape. Why do I do that? Because I like working 14 to 16 hours a day. I like not getting a ton of sleep because of the feeling I get when I accomplish things. I like being able to lift heavy things. You know what happens when you can lift heavy things? Other people can't lift heavy things. You're already one step ahead of them just because you can lift that heavy object. And so on top of that, like, you got a truck, you got a able-bodied person, and then I'll think about it this way, like what I do, I can hire out my friends. Like, I'm an entrepreneur and I have, 4 to 5 friends that I consistently hire out, and I pay them good too. We'll get into the payment side of that, all that later, but the point is that, think of what your personal resources are, things that you have lying around. For example, my father, I'm breaking out these bad boys. Oh yeah, here comes the sales pitch, right? JPL Aviation makes flag hitches, right? I'm kind of a patriotic guy, what do I like to do? I like America. 4th of July is my favorite holiday. And so I make, my dad and I, actually a lot of my dad, he helps me a lot. My dad's an amazing guy, so that's also part of why I do what I do. And so he helps me make these flag hitches. He's got old bars and we spray paint them and we drill holes and put these clips in. We buy the flags, we price everything out. We give them like shiny little caps, a standard flag hitch for jplaviation.com/hitch as well if you guys want to get one. If you can stick it in the back of your Jeep or anything that goes off-roading to really show that American pride, go check it out. But the point is that, you can make things around your house and sell them. That's why being creative is so important. 2, who can help you? Well, I just kind of answered my own question, right? Like, my dad helps me with that stuff, or my dad lets me use his truck. And like I said, my dad's a big influence on my life. Shout out to my dad. But the point is like, who can help you in your life? Well, that's your grandma. Maybe she can sew things for you. Maybe you can, figure out a design for shoes. Like, my buddy, Jaden, shout out to Jaden. He makes custom-made shoes with, like, paintings, and he's, like, really, really good at drawing. And that's what he does, and, like, that's awesome. And you got to figure out people who can help you do those things. So say, for example, it's like all about scaling, right? If I get 2 to 3 people that can draw on those shoes and I like get the clients and all that, I can have a little legit business out of my garage painting shoes and making a ton of money doing it. It's just a matter of knowing who can help you in your area, figure out how to scale that little business that you have, and go for it. So next, who would believe in you? I thought I spelled that wrong. Who would believe in you, right? Who in your area would potentially believe in your journey as an aviator, right? Thinking like, okay, I want to be a pilot one day, so there's got to be, a local airport around here with a ton of pilots. And if you have no resources, that's what I love about America. America is one of the greatest countries ever because you can literally have nothing and still find people that want to help you. Let me say that again. You can have nothing, but still find people that want to help you. And aviation as well is a lot about connections and resources. So who would believe in you? Go to these airports. Like, find other pilots, say, hey, walk in, humble yourself, take the humility pill that's that freaking big, right? And you walk in there and say, hey, like, I really want to become a pilot. What do I need to do to prove to you? Or, like, don't even say that. Just be like, hey, I want to wash your plane for free once a week. Because I want to be a pilot. If in exchange you can start teaching me or show me the road about how to get into aviation, right? That is what you need to have the mentality to go out and do. And I guarantee you, if you start washing somebody who owns their own plane, they're going to want to help you. They're going to see your passion. Like, that's our job, especially as aviators, is to help people get into this industry. And that's what JPL Aviation is mostly about for me, is that it's a hard thing to do. Flying from the actual skill part. And obviously, I think this is going to be part 2. I'm filming this first, but this is going to be part 2 of a 2-part series video about why aviation is so hard to get into for most people. And 2, the money side of it, which is this, right? But that first part or so, it will say why it's so hard to get into aviation, right? So find people to believe in you. That's the big thing. Put yourself out there. Go balls to the wall. Say, I need to find a mentor or someone who can help me to get me through that. Like, for example, I have a airline pilot up the street who my mom met his wife. Of course, my mom out there talking to people. Met the wife, and he's like, oh, my husband used to be an airline pilot. And now I go hang out with that airline pilot. We just talk about aviation. He kind of like gives me like a career path. And like he feels like he's living his aviation experience through me too, which is a cool feeling on my end. Because it shows that, he is investing in me. And he gave me like a headset, an old airlines headset that he had, and like it works awesome. And it's just the little things like that. People want to help, people want to give, so go find people that want to believe in you. After that, we have... Oh no, did it get lost? Oh, there it is. My little hook came off. That's not good. Oh, I just flipped over. My bad, guys. Your product. Your product, right? Okay. The point is that you got to have a product. And I paused there for a second because that's when most people go, oh, I have to have a product. Because in order to be an entrepreneur and make money, you have to have a product yourself. And so the whole point is that we're going to go through a list right now of potential things that you can do. But the main point I want you to take out of this, I'm going to give you some ideas, but I really want you to think about the things we talked about in the 2 previous slides and think, okay, what can I make? What skills do I have? What does my area need that I could potentially benefit the other people as well? Also, speaking of products, land of the internet, right? Look at this. This is a phone case. It's a pretty nice phone case. Good looking, iPhone 10, iPhone 11. These people are going to have a little bit of money, right? 150 of them. Bought them for $4 each. Like Alibaba Express, right? You can now use the internet to set up an Amazon drop site, Amazon, eBay drop site or whatever, and I can now ship these products, sell them for like $10, $11, whatever covers the shipping. Obviously, you got to calculate your expenses. We'll go into that again in a couple slides here. But the point is that you're going to be able to figure out, you know, how much money you can make just with this, right? This is an asset. You can use this to sell. And we'll get a little more into that. So that's another one right there. But anyways, creating jewelry and trinkets. I have a girl at my OCC Aviation program, and I follow her Instagram, and I see that she sells these cute little puff balls for earrings. I should have totally shouted her out right now. Her Instagram is Taylor Jeans SJW. I'm so sorry if I butchered that, Taylor. But the point is that she sells these little, like, these things that she makes for earrings, and, like, I would never buy them because I'm a dude, but, like, girls, other aviators, or people in the local area, if they're cute and, you know, she used her creative idea, she's an entrepreneur. She's making money to help for that flight training. Next would be artists, right? For all those creative people out there who don't necessarily, they're not the product. You know, they may not be in amazing physical shape. They may not be the brightest people, or they may be bright, but the point is that they, artists and caricatures. If you have a talent, think about like back in middle school. I remember back in middle school, I had a cool little caricature drawing of me that I still have in my room to this day. And you know, you pay the guy $10, $12, and he, for 5 minutes, he just sits there and just like sketches something out real quick, and it looks super dope. And it's just super simple. You know, find parties, go to events or stuff like that that have those. And if not, just find people who are having parties and say, hey, you know, I want to come do caricatures. And even if you get 5 to 6 caricatures that whole night, right? Like, you're still going to make $72-ish, right? If you charge $12. I think, yeah, my math's 72, right? Yeah. And so, I should know that. But anyways, the point is that, you know, you can make $72 in a night just for chilling, sitting around, and just make a little drawing. And what better thing do you have to do that day than finance your flight training? Go out with your friends, go drinking? Probably not, right? Think smart, finance your flight training. So, up next would be DJ at parties. Say you're into music. You like making beats, you're a type of guy, right? You can go find parties as well and DJ at them. We'll go into like the kind of find things next as well after our products, so I'll go into that in a second. Painting. If you're good at painting, you know, people like murals. People like, you know, I went to Laguna Beach the other day, yesterday actually, and we're walking around, these paintings are like, they sell them for like $5,000 because it's like by this person. It's just like, if you can figure out a way to market yourself, I'm not a creative, like super creative person, but I could totally see how people end up like marketing their art for like really, really high prices. So, you know, hey, if you're a painter and you can paint stuff and sell it, go for it, because people need work done, and figure out a way to make it personal that people actually want to buy your work. So up next would be moving jobs. This is a big one for me. Not gonna lie, I do a lot of handyman work, but I do a hell of a lot more moving jobs because I'm in shape. I got a bunch of in-shape friends. I got a truck that I can use. I got multiple trucks that I can use because friends bring their trucks as well. And we move people, you know. I had one move that was from 1 p.m. in the afternoon all the way to 1 a.m. at night, just like driving back and forth with our trucks, right? The total was like $730 made that day. Awesome. It's a great, you know, you did a great job moving our stuff all day. Literally moved the whole entire house. I think shout out to Jaden on that one. I don't know if he's watching or is going to see this, but the point is that, you know, that's an opportunity as well. Use your resources around you again, right? Restoring items. For example, I had a buddy, life is all about connections, that he ended up just letting me, buy a leg extension machine off of him for cheap because the 24-hour fitness that I worked at, it doesn't articulate very well because there's like a little crack in the metal. And so I'm like, I can literally just, all it needs is a little weld. Do I know how to weld? Like, not really. I understand the concept of it, but I'm not going to make this product and then go sell it. I have a buddy who welds. So I went over down to San Clemente, brought the little piece that was broken, and I paid him to fix it up for me, right? This is another thing we'll talk about, is paying people adequately. He didn't want any cash, too. He would have done it for free. I could have been greedy and be like, hell yeah, I'll get it done for free. But that's part of that integrity, honesty thing, saying like, hey, I'm just going to pay you because your time is worth something. So, he fixed it up for me, and now I'm going to sell it, for a good amount of money. Buy low, sell high old products. The simplest mantra of being an entrepreneur, what do? You buy low and you sell high. I don't care what it is, all right? If you buy it low and sell it high, you're going to be on the right path. You're going to be doing the right thing. I promise you. So then the last one is a really, really big one. I've had so many times where I've just been like at a job doing something and people are like, oh, hey, like, do you want this? Do I need an old VCR? No. Can I get $5 to $10 for it? Yeah. Sure, yeah, I'd love it. My grandma's going to love it. Wink, wink at them. And you go and sell it for like 10 to $15, and that's on top of it, right? Never pass up opportunities. I ran out of space for opportunity. It's probably going to be over here, like opportunity. But the point is that never pass up an opportunity that someone presents to you. If you have an ability to make money, just go for it. That's what you need to do. So yeah, never pass up opportunities. Oh, also, forget about this. I actually was just recently in contact with someone, and I've been been recruited myself by many people for many different things, for Cutco, for like pest control, for Mary Kay. Those businesses are definitely something to do your research before you get into. They have great opportunity for people who actually are outgoing and can go sell things. And so if you think that is you, you kind of have the entrepreneur mentality, go do it because you're going to get it done. But Mary Kay, Pest Control, Moxie, all these type of guys, you can go out and for 2 to 3 months, you can just go door-to-door sales and make a ton of money if you can sell. That's the part where they kind of get a little sketchy and make sure the money is going all the right places. And just do your research before you go into these things. I know Cutco is a little bit sketchy sometimes, so do your best. But yeah, so that's like multi-level marketing. That's something to check out as well if you just want to work 3 months and say, hey, I'm going to build cash, and you have the potential to do it. So just believe in yourself. And the big one, right? The word. What do I mean by the word? Which, this thing is being stupid. There we go. Oh, I said the S word. Sorry, guys. The word. The word. Okay. You now have this product. You've talked about your weaknesses. You understand who you are and where you're going in life and what it's going to take to get there. You know exact dollar amount that you need. And what's the next big thing? How are you going to get people to go out and buy and sell your products? And how are you going to find jobs for you to do? Whatever it is that you're doing. The best part about today is that we have social media. We have many different networking apps and stuff that are going to get us there. So say, for example, we have just some apps that you guys might like and know. Nextdoor, great community app. It depends on the area of the country you're in. I think most actually around the country now people are using Nextdoor. We have IOB. It's the same type of thing where people actually talk about projects, but basically anywhere where people are talking about community growth is a good place to start looking for work. Also, Reddit sometimes can be really random and help out with stuff, so be careful down that rabbit hole though. But FreeCycle. FreeCycle is a great app because they literally have people just like, hey, I need to get rid of this. You can have it, just take it off my lawn. And FreeCycle is that thing. And there's a lot of people actually in Santa Ana over here and stuff who use this app to pick up a bunch of scrap metal, and they go towards the scrap metal recycle places, and they give you cash for a bunch of scrap metals. If you got an old fridge or you got an old water heater, that's something that you could potentially recycle and make money off of. Luckily, my dad once again has showed me how to do this stuff. He's got a ton of stuff around here he was trying to get rid of. I'm at the studio. I have a room in his building, which is nice. Also, again, using your resources right there. Very blessed to have that. 2, every block. Basically kind of the same thing as Nextdoor. People are just trying to generate a good community. You can call people and make really, really good connections. So after that would be Thumbtack. And Thumbtack is specifically for handyman. So I have a good background because I'm very mechanical. I can kind of figure things out, put things together, fix them, there's just a lot of things that I can do, which I've been blessed because, once again, my dad has been a good influence, and I kind of always had that mechanical type mind. So Thumbtack is a great place to go find work. And OS, old school. Very, very important. So if none of the like internet stuff works for you, if you're kind of just like an old fart and you're sitting there just like a grandpa and you're like, hey, you're not an old fart. If you want to fly, good for you. Just make sure your medical's up to date. Old school, right? You have your flyers, you have your door-to-door sales, you have your business cards. Flyers are great. I would mostly try the other options here, but flyers are still good to kind of like, if someone's not home and they need some work done, you can drop your flyer there. It's a little bit more noticeable than a business card. But also next is door-to-door sales for you. I put you just by itself because I'm trendy. But door-to-door sales for you, because think about it, like, you're your own product. If I didn't have any work, if I was in a complete rut in my money-making schemes, right, I would go door to door in some random neighborhood and say, hey, my name is X, I am X years old, I am trying to work on becoming a pilot, and I will do anything to get there. Like, is there any work around the local area that you know of that I can do? And this is a little bit more risky approach because some people might tell you to screw off, but start with your neighbors, people that you know, and you might be surprised in what you find. Business cards, 10 out of 10. Oh my gosh, this is something you have to have, okay? I got 2 business cards. I got one for those beautiful flag hitches right there. For like 30, 40 bucks, can make good quality ones. They're nice. Then I have my JPL Aviation business card, right? I will be at places, somewhere random, hanging out, and I will meet someone that is in aviation and super cool, and I may want to do an interview with them or whatever. Life is an RPG game, guys. Make sure you go talk to all the characters because you may never know what you will find. So always have a business card at hand, ready to go, and you'll be super surprised in what you find. But say, for example, these, right? I will literally, if I see an off-road car that's like super decked out, kind of American flag decals and stuff, I say, you know what they need? They need a JPL Aviation flag hitch. That's exactly what they need. So I go in there and I put a flag hitch mount, the business card, on their windshield. And I've gotten a couple sales of these things just off of putting them around. I spent 20 bucks on these things, and I probably sold 4 or 5 of those flag hitches now. And I've only, I put these out very selectively, so it's not like I'm just mass putting these things out. So, that's another way that you can, for whatever product you have, business card, business card, do that. So, yeah, and then my biggest one is word of mouth. We'll go into the how, why that's a big deal later, but people, if they like you, they will refer you to other people. If they believe in you, they will refer you to other people. And we'll go into that next, and I'll elaborate on that. But word of mouth for the word, getting your word out. So that's the word, guys. And our last slide, I believe, last little paper slide here, actually. Yep, service standard, that's what it is. I'm going to talk about standards of service, just because, as an entrepreneur and everything that I do in my life has to be up to a A1 standard. Nothing less. Everything you do in your life, you want to be the best. I mean, for some people, if you like being average, that's cool. You do you. I'm going to go try to be the best because that's just how I am. And usually people in aviation kind of have the same mentality because we're go-getters. We're the movers and shakers of society. Service standard, right? Do a great job. Let me say that again. Do a great job. I don't care if you don't know what you're doing. Do it to the best of your ability. For example, I had a job one time where this guy needed his mailbox redone. And he was like, I just need it repainted, resanded down, all this stuff. I'm like, I had no idea how to redo a mailbox. Like, straight up, I'll be honest. Like, if he ever watches this video, he's just like, because I was actually working on this is another thing, right? I was working on somebody's house across the street from his, and he walks over to me, and he's like, hey, would you can you repaint my mailbox or whatever, right? It looks rusty, all this stuff, and so I didn't know how to redo the mailbox, but I looked it up, watched like 3 to 4 YouTube videos, and I went and got it done over the course of a 2.5 day period. But I got it done, about like an hour and a half, 2 hours each morning, because I had to go do other stuff, and at the end of the day, I made 150 bucks just redoing his mailbox, and like, yeah, it wasn't a ton of money, but it was a new skill that I now had. And the mailbox looked great. I should post a picture of it probably right here on both of them so you guys can see 1, 2, right? So you guys can see what that looks like. But that's the point. Is like, I didn't have that skill before. Now I have that skill. Does someone else have that skill that doesn't know that skill? No, they don't. So pay appropriately. Okay. This is where we get serious, guys. There are going to be people that you meet that have a lot of money. There's going to be a lot of people that have no money. And you're always going to have to focus on where is your client coming from. Don't jip people off, right? The whole point of life is that it's one big game, but within the big game itself, it's a series of decisions, mini games, and the only way to win the whole entire game, to get to where you're going in aviation, is to play each game, the mini sets, fairly so that other people will invite you back to play. Let me say that again. Life is a big game, and in order to get to where you're going, you have to play each mini set game fairly, so that way people invite you to come back to play the game again. The same thing for me, right? I know exactly where I'm going in aviation. I like the service industry. I like making people happy. I like trying my best to be the best, you know? I don't want to go be your typical airline pilot. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to end up in, like, you know, probably single pilot operator 135 first. Straight up. That's exactly what I want to go into. You know, who knows what may happen in life, but part of that is that client retention, right? That's my other part, right? Client satisfaction. Go the extra mile, specifically in the service industry of aviation, right? If I have a $3 million aircraft and someone is paying me to get them from point A to point B, I'm going to have 2 flight attendants on board, maybe even 3, even if there's 1 person on board. I'm going to make sure that there's pillows, there's exactly the temperature that they want. They're going to be steaks, they're going to have everything on board that they need because of the level of service that my company and my you know, product is going to be presented to them as, and that is what is so important. And the same thing goes, you know, all the things in your life start now. Simple jobs, right? I made sure on that mailbox that I did an A1 fantastic job. I did not leave 1 speck of dust from the top of that flag all the way down to the base of that mailbox because I cared about the quality of product that I put into, right? And that same guy went on and gave me 3 to 4 other jobs, even from other different people that he networked with. And that is what is so important, is that you make sure that you give a good product to your client and you go the extra, probably like right here, go the extra mile to make sure that that person who you're serving feels like they're well taken care of and that they know you're coming from a good place, because in the big set of life, you want to make sure that people invite you back to play the game with them. Same thing goes with most of your relationships. Unless they're toxic, then cut that crap off, right? You got big aviation dreams. You're going somewhere. Leave the other people behind if you know they're not supporting you in it. So, yeah, do a great job. Pay appropriately. Okay, yeah, pay appropriately, right? If you hire people, right, like I hire my friends all the time to come help me out with stuff. That's just who I am. That's what I do. And I make sure that I go the extra mile to make sure that they feel good about themselves. Like, I'm going to be straight up. Like, my friend Kyle, I hired him out one time, and I took a job for a little bit lesser money because I had a good client relationship with him, and I underpaid myself a little bit, and so therefore I had to underpay Kyle a little bit because it wasn't as, you know, as affluent a job and as strenuous as job, and the person, you know, there's a lot of factors that go into it. That's part of being an entrepreneur. You got to play that game. But basically, you know, Kyle got a little bit less money than what he normally gets. And granted, I pay Kyle very, very good when I go. When I give him jobs, because that is the premium price I charge my customer, my client, for the level of service that I'm going to provide in that job, right? And so Kyle, I could tell he was a little bit off that day. He's like, I think Nessie's, you know, Justin, sorry. I think Justin's taking more money this time, right? And I felt that, but I literally didn't have the charge for him, right? And part of being a business owner, sometimes you got to take those L's because it benefits in the long term, right? So on the next job, right, it was a $75 job, just like moving stuff, you know, nice and short, right? I gave him $50 on that job for about an hour and 10 minutes of work. Did he deserve $50 for an hour and 10 minutes of work and not do all the work that I put into getting those type of jobs and maintaining client relations and all that? No, right? But because I wanted my person that I work with, my employee basically, to feel as as you know, happy as I was to understand those jobs, to understand where I come from when I give these jobs to them, I want the extra mile to make sure that he felt good that day and left saying, hey, you know, last time I didn't feel amazing with Justin when I left, and even though, like, granted, technically it should be like he should be thankful that he's even getting these jobs, but I don't have that mentality because that's not who I am. The point is that you take L's sometimes in order to make sure that the people you work with, that the people that you're serving feel fantastic about their the product that they're given. And that's something that I've learned just by doing these little entrepreneurial stuff. And you know, I've had times where I didn't deliver the best product, and for example, I ended up having to like refix something that I did, and I only got paid $75, but it was like a job that was at least worth $150. And luckily, once again, Jaden was a trooper with it when he was there with me that day when I first got it started doing all this about a month ago or so. And that's what it takes to make sure that you maintain that. And part of that also is maintain your client relations. If you have people that you're working with, if you have people that always come back to you for jobs, make sure that you are texting them like once a month. Say, hey, you know, how you doing? Not even asking for jobs, just saying like, hey, as a person, I care about you. And that's what they want to hear. That's what people want to see. So basically, I think that's kind of it, guys, for how I do what I do in regards to the setup for building your little aviation side hustle. That's aviation side hustle because it's on your goals to aviation. So that's going to be it, guys. If you guys like this, once again, please like and subscribe, notification, turn them on, please. Go check us out on Instagram, JPL Aviation. Also, I'm really trying to build a big email list, so if you guys can go to jplaviation.com, there's going to be a little pop-up that pops up, and go ahead and type your email in there quick for me. I'll start blasting out emails once I get my system completely set up with JPL Aviation. So that is part 2 of a 2-part series about how aviation is a hard industry to get into and how you fix it. So JPL Aviation, guys, is where leadership and aviation take off.